Chapter 6. After a dark and windy journey, 6 screaming Smurfs crash-landed on a grassy area near a giant waterfall. Grouchy was at the bottom of the Smurf pileup.
"What's wrong with you?"
he asked Gutsy, who had a huge smile stretching across his face.
"That was great,"
Gutsy roared.
"Let's have another go." "Are you smurfed?"
Grouchy couldn't believe his ears.
"We nearly died in there."
Smurfette checked her clothing. "We're not even wet." Brainy surveyed the area. The waterfall they were standing behind seemed similar to the one in the grotto, and so did the nearby pond. Similar, but not the same.
"What part of the enchanted forest is this? My calculations indicate that—" Whack!
A slice of pizza hit Brainy. The cheese stuck to his head as tomato sauce dripped down the side of his face. He wiped cheesy grease off his forehead.
"Ugh, that's slimy."
Brainy then took a good look around. They were in an area overflowing with trash cans. "I don't think we're in Smurf Village anymore," Smurfette remarked. Smurfs," Clumsy called out to them. He was standing nearby on top of a large rock. "You may want to take a look at this." Gutsy was the first to head over.
"What is it?"
Papa followed Gutsy up the rock. He was worried because he hadn't yet found a way to stop the terrible vision from coming true.
"Why are we listening to Clumsy?"
Grouchy mumbled.
"He just got us sucked through a giant hole."
Brainy put his hands on his hips and insisted.
"It's not a hole, it's a vortex."
Having provided the proper word, Brainy began to climb the boulder. Grouchy sighed.
"Can't we just go around the rock?"
And then, when no one replied, he pulled himself up alongside the others. When Smurfette reached the place Clumsy was standing, her eyes grew wide. She couldn't believe what she saw. All around them were towering buildings made of steel and glass. The loud honking sounds of cars and buses, people and traffic, and the crazy mix of different smells. "Oh, my Smurf!" Smurfette gasped.
"Where the Smurf are we?"
Grouchy grumped.
"Up this Smurfing creek without a paddle, that's where."
Gutsy replied, pointing to the portal in the waterfall. It was closing.
"Well, at least they're not coming after us,"
Brainy said, referring to Gargamel and Azrael.
"Oh yeah, relief,"
Grouchy said sarcastically. But just then, Azrael shot through the portal and landed with a solid thump. "Azrael!" Clumsy cried out. Without any hesitation, Papa commanded everyone to run. Together they all began to dash through New York City's Central Park. Gargamel, who was still standing in the forest grotto, shouted into the hole for his cat.
"Azrael, are you dead?"
No reply. Gargamel looked at the sky. Clouds were gathering over the blue moon, and the portal was beginning to shrink. He had little choice.
"Must have Smurfs."
And so, Gargamel jumped. The Smurfs continued to run away from the waterfall, unsure where they were headed or if they'd ever make it back to Smurf Village again. Papa tried to reassure them.
"We'll circle back,"
he said calmly,
"when it's safe."
Papa wanted to keep moving. Azrael was out there, and they couldn't afford to stay in one place for too long. "Guys, come on!" Smurfette encouraged everyone to stay together.
"Go!"
Gutsy said in full agreement.
"Coming through."
Brainy was ready to hustle. He didn't want to see that cat again ever. Only Grouchy was lagging behind. He'd had enough running for one day.
"I'm getting hungry,"
he complained as he and the rest of the Smurfs ran away from the waterfall and in the direction of a large boathouse. Inside the boathouse bash, which was hosted by Angelou Cosmetics, was in full swing. Reporters and photographers were eating hors d'oeuvres, drinking, and talking endlessly about the newest product. It was called Juvenile, and the company claimed it was like owning the fountain of youth in an Angelou bottle. in just a couple of days, the cream would be for sale at stores all over the world. Patrick Winslow greeted each and every person at the event. As a marketing employee at Angelou, he knew if the reporters were happy, they would say nice things. So far, so good.
Hey, can we get the photographer over there?
Patrick asked an Angelou assistant, pointing to a group of nicely dressed men and women who were just about to enter the room.
There are big arrivals happening.
Thanks. The assistant rushed off and Patrick went to get himself a drink. On his way, Patrick noticed two frowning Angelou models standing by a Juvenile display.
Hey, ladies,
Patrick greeted them.
Looking good. Just a couple of quick tips.
He moved one of the girls. If you could not stand directly in front of the display but over to the side, it would be a bit more visible. He then positioned a second girl.
Hey, look, product,
he said as the display came into clear view. And don't forget to smile. Remember, you're working for a cosmetics company. That's it. Smile. Relax. Everyone will have a good time. Thanks. Thank you so much. When the models were in place and grinning, Patrick moved on. Momentarily, Miss Juvenile's assistant, Henri, appeared at his side. Hello, Henri, Patrick said. On top of everything with the campaign, Patrick? Henri asked.
As much as I can be, Patrick replied. We certainly did our homework and tested the results.
He shrugged. There wasn't much more he could do to make this launch successful.
Patrick!
Just then, Odile Juvenel, the company owner, called to him from across the room. The press loved Odile because she was successful, young, beautiful, and spoke with a charming Spanish accent. To those who worked for her, however, she was tough, demanding, and unpredictably impulsive. Patrick looked at Odile and shivered. She's pointing at me. Well, that can't be good, Henri told him, clicking his tongue and shaking his head. Patrick knew Henri was right. Nervously, he headed over to see what Odile wanted. Odile, it looks fantastic for Thursday's launch, a reporter gushed. Odile replied, It's going to be quite the gala. They all shared a show-busy laugh as Patrick joined Odile and the circle of her admirers.
Ah, there he is, she told them. My new vice president of marketing.
The reporters congratulated Patrick before moving on. You fired Ralph? Patrick stammered. He was shocked. Odile casually shrugged.
His campaign was rubbish. He gave me what I asked for, not what I wanted. Can you give me what I want?
Is that what you're asking for? Patrick replied, uncertain what she meant.
How would I know what I'm asking for when I don't know what I want? Odile countered.
Well said, Odile, well said. Patrick let Odile's words sink in. Which is why you need me. Odile smiled.
Exacto. I need you to create a new campaign for Juvenile. All digital, of course, so it can be ready in time for the launch.
Patrick couldn't help but remind her. Odile, that's in 2 days.
Si, mi corazon.
Odile put her hand on Patrick's arm.
And it mustn't be delayed. Will that be a problem?
No.
I mean, I'll have to miss my wife's first ultrasound appointment.
At 35 years of age, Patrick never expected to be the vice president of anything. He was having trouble wrapping his head around this huge promotion and the work it would take to make an entirely new advertising campaign by Thursday. Odile gave him a disappointed look. Patrick regrouped. 2 days is perfect. I mean, God only needed 6 days for the whole world, right? Odile tightened her grip around Patrick's arm like a vice.
Fail me, and maybe you can go work for him.
Odile let go and stalked off. Henri appeared at Patrick's side. So, how did it go? Patrick answered hurriedly. Fine. Good. Great. A little out of my comfort zone, but nothing I can't handle. His words sounded confident, but inside, Patrick was uncertain. He rushed to gather his things. If he was going to remake an entire advertising campaign in 2 days, he was going to have to get started immediately. Arriving through the vortex, Gargamel splashed down in the Central Park pond. He wrung water out of his robes as he took in the scene. People were everywhere, enjoying the sunny New York day. There were inline skaters carrying boomboxes, blaring hip-hop tunes, street performers, and even a family riding along on segways.
"What manner of freakish realm is this?" he muttered.
"Meow," was Azrael's reply. Gargamel went for a walk, both to explore and to search for Smurfs. Azrael stayed where he was, stalking around the portal area where they'd all landed. With the help of an Angelou assistant, Patrick left the boathouse with heavy boxes full of files in tow. The assistant stacked the boxes on a park bench, while Patrick went back into the boathouse to get one more box. "Can you grab a cab for me?" he called out to the assistant on his way back inside. Just then, the Smurfs arrived at the boathouse.
"This day keeps getting better and better," Grouchy whined.
"So?" began Clumsy, checking around to make sure they had successfully ditched Azrael. "We're just going to jump in the portal, get back to our village, and everybody's happy, right?" Papa nodded, and they turned around, starting back around the lake toward the portal. Always the cheerleader, Smurfette tried to lift everyone's spirits. "Yeah, guys, let's stay Smurf-tomistic." Grouchy wasn't buying it.
"You know what? I choose to be pessy-smurfistic. We're all going to die," he groaned.
When they reached the portal area, Brainy had a question. A big question.
Papa,"
Brainy began.
"how do we get home with the portal closed?"
Brainy pointed to the vortex spot. The hole was, in fact, now completely gone. Papa didn't know what to say, but he didn't want to alarm the others, so he told them the answer he hoped in his heart was true.
"I'm sure the blue moon will rise here tonight. The portal will open and we'll be back safe and sound in the village, with our whole family together again."
"I can't wait," Smurfette exclaimed excitedly. "Yeah," Clumsy said, thinking about going home. "I miss them already." But until the portal opened, they needed a place to hide.
"All right, let's take shelter until dark," Papa said. "Aye, let's get smurfin'," Gutsy said. "Okay, but I'm not happy," Grouchy chimed in.
Before any Smurf could utter another word, they were interrupted by a loud
meow.
Azrael pounced, catching nothing but air. The Smurfs scattered again. "Guys, come on, this way," Smurfette called out.
"To the trees!"
Gutsy charged. Discovering an escape route, Brainy cried out.
"To the left! Up! 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 Move it, Addy!"
Gutsy said. Azrael chased the Smurfs up the tree. The cat leaped to bite Smurfette, but he missed, catching instead only a clump of her hair in his mouth.
"Smurfette!"
Papa called out worriedly.
"Ow!"
Smurfette shrieked.
"My hair! Get back, cat!"
The cat swallowed the clump with a distasteful gulp, then was immediately walloped on the nose by Smurfette's high heel. Azrael recoiled, rubbing his hurt nose with his paw. "Way to go, Smurfette," Clumsy said, sharing the victory. Smurfette's blow to Azrael gave the Smurfs time to gain some distance. Clumsy needed it the most. He still hadn't begun to climb the tree yet. Hurt, but not ready to quit, Azrael turned to the source of that last small Smurf voice. Azrael arched his back and hissed. "No, no!" Clumsy exclaimed. To save himself, he ran as fast as he could back toward the boathouse where they had been safe earlier. When he reached the boathouse, Clumsy climbed a park bench in an effort to get away from the dangerous furball.
"Take one for the team, Clumsy!"
Grouchy called out. Clumsy ducked as Azrael charged, teeth bared, sharp claws scratching. "Help!" Clumsy was climbing the rails of the bench as fast as he could. He safely reached the top of the seat, but then fell backward. right into one of Patrick's cardboard boxes.
"Oh, clumsy,"
Gutsy remarked, not really surprised at what happened. The Smurfs gasped as Azrael crept closer and closer to the cornered Smurf.
Clumsy!
Smurfette shouted from her perch in the tree, but there wasn't anything they could do from up in the tree. Clumsy was out there, in danger, on his own. Azrael was just about to scoop Clumsy up with his paw when Patrick came out of the boathouse and suddenly picked up the stack of boxes, including the one that held Clumsy. The Smurfs watched as the boxes were placed into the trunk of a waiting taxicab. Patrick hopped in, waved goodbye to the assistant, and the taxi started to pull away from the curb.
"Quickly, to the mechanical wagon,"
Papa Smurf said, dashing along the tree branch following the taxi's path.
"Come on, Smurfs,"
Gutsy said, keeping pace.
"Why don't we just go around the tree?"
Grouchy moaned when the Smurfs jumped from that tree to another much bigger one. Climbing one thick trunk had been hard enough. But Grouchy caught up, and together the 5 little Smurfs skirted through the tree branches, following their klutzy blue friend. Frustrated at his own fruitless Smurf search, Gargamel found his cat sitting on top of a trash can, watching a taxi enter the lanes of traffic.
There you are. By all means, relax and enjoy the fresh air and the sunshine while my missing Smurfs could be anywhere,
Gargamel reprimanded, shaking his fist at Azrael. With a hiss, Azrael glared at the departing taxi, hoping Gargamel would get his hint and follow the car with Clumsy inside it. But Gargamel didn't understand. With a second hiss, Azrael stared up at the wizard, trying to get the message across. Azrael yowled,
"Meow!" "What?"
Gargamel asked.
"Where?"
Following Azrael's gaze down the street, Gargamel spotted his Smurfs running across the tree branch above, trying to chase the taxi. A crooked smile appeared across his face. Seated inside the moving vehicle, Patrick gave the driver directions to his apartment building. 7th Street, between 1st and A, please. The driver nodded, and the cab gained speed.